From the great city of New York, I'm Lucas Alexander. Learning to Live Out Loud is the title of Piper Laurie's just newly published autobiography. Piper Laurie just turned 80 years old 1 week ago. She is the 3-time Academy Award nominee, Emmy nominee, Golden Globe winner, and has been acting for 63 years. I sat down to talk to Piper Laurie about her amazing career, her book, and her many famous movies. Right now I'm in New York City with one of my favorite people in the world, the great, amazing Piper Laurie, who just turned 80 and is actually making her debut as a writer in the great new book, Learning to Live Out Loud.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's so great. And you wrote the entire book by yourself with no co-writer?
Right.
Was that something you felt very strongly about doing?
Yes. I didn't care if it was good or bad, or if it was published, but I had to do it myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it like giving all these personal details and secrets finally from your life after all these years, all of a sudden?
Well, I never thought, just the same as the acting process, I didn't really think about what the audience was going to think. I just tried to wipe that from my mind as I was writing, because I never could have done it. And I had no idea if the book could get published. So I just put it all down, the things that I wanted, the things that I thought were interesting, that I had experienced, and people I've known. And wow. I didn't really think about how people were going to respond until it was all done. And then my publisher said, "Miss Laurie, are you sure you really want to do this?" And I began to be just a little bit nervous when she said that.
Why do you think she said that?
Well, I didn't ask.
All right.
But I assume I've told some secrets, things that I've kept secret all my life.
You definitely have, and it's an absolutely wonderful book. It's incredible that you've been an actress for almost 63 years. How has the entertainment business changed over all these years since you started in Hollywood in 1949, 1950?
I think essentially it's not changed. Superficially it has, and there are more people doing it. People don't care as much. And I think the people behind projects are not motivated by the things that used to motivate producers.
So you think it's become more about looks and appearance and more superficial than when you started? It's
become about money.
All about money.
You know, just the very thing, you know, all people want to know, at least in Los Angeles, is what the box office returns were. It's not how good the movie was, but you know how much, which one made the most money over the weekend. You know, what did that have to do with something beautiful and creative?
Exactly. Yeah, and you became a Universal contract player at the end of the golden era. And you were mainly cast because of your looks as the pretty young girl. And what was it like to do all of these movies at that time and that early in your career, in your life?
I was surprised. I didn't understand that Universal International, as it was known in those days, was a factory of making program pictures, mostly B pictures. I was just thrilled that they wanted to put me under contract and that I'd get to be paid for doing the only thing I knew how to do. And actually when I auditioned, they instead of stopping me after 3 minutes of my audition material, they let me do the whole one-act play, the Tennessee Williams one-act play.
And you could do it?
Yes, I could do it.
You knew all the lines already? You had studied the whole play?
Yes, I had done it in class.
Yeah.
And the actor who had played the little part in it, it was mostly a monologue. And there was a little boy in it, and so my actor friend came with me, I brought my props and my banana and little doll, crazy doll, and I walked along the railroad tracks. And at the 3-minute mark, a little piece of my brain was listening for the, thank you, Miss Jacobs. I was not Piper Laurie quite yet. But they let me go on for 20, 25 minutes. It was a piece of material that I was very close to, and I had a natural understanding of this little girl. So they seemed very touched by it.
Yeah.
Tears in our eyes, and I thought, oh, they really understand that I'm a serious actress. And I had been working seriously for 3 years in this terrific acting class. Mm-hmm. And they made a screen test with me and Rock Hudson together and signed both of us and threw me immediately into my first movie, which was playing Ronald Reagan's little daughter.
What was it like? That was Louisa in 1950?
Yes.
What was it actually like working with Ronald Reagan? And you also started dating him during that time, and he was playing your father, right, in the movie? And
Well, it didn't quite happen that way.
all right.
We made the movie first.
Okay.
I was working with Ronald Reagan, Ruth Huzzy, Charles Coburn, Edmund Gwenn, all these fantastic actors with great bodies of work that I didn't know at that time. And they were lovely with me. They didn't treat me like a little kid. I had a featured part. I had a substantial role. I was like their little sister. And they all asked me to call them by their first names, which I never would have done without an invitation. It was terrific. It was terrific.
Wow. And did Ronald
Except
Reagan...
the material was stupid.
Oh, the material was not good?
Yes.
No. You didn't like playing those characters in the beginning at all?
And it got worse as it went on. Yes.
Well, did Reagan ever talk to you about politics or talk to you about his
No.
interest in that?
No, he was president of the Screen Actors Guild at the time. And he was charming and kind and would bring me... And we had these little dressing rooms on the sets at those times with big wheels that they could move around any spot. And they were cozy little things with a little sofa and a closet and a dressing table. And you go to the bathroom to the outside buildings. And everyone kept their doors open all the time. And he would often invite me in to sit and talk and ask if everything was all right. And,
So he was
if I
very...
could help in any way.
So he was helpful to you as an actress?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. In 1953, you did a movie called Has Anybody Seen My Gal?
Yes.
With Rock Hudson.
Yes.
And there was also...
Are you going to ask me to sing?
Well, there was this duet, which was an absolutely amazing duet you did in this car with Rock Hudson.
Yes.
So you actually... You recorded your first song in 1953.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a story behind that. I did... do you remember the director of that movie?
No, I actually don't.
Anybody See My Gal was directed by Douglas Sirk, who is worshipped by film lovers today. And I found him quite unpleasant.
Did you really?
I did, really. And before, there was a little scene where I was supposed to sing a little song, and they all said, well, we have to see if you can sing. I never imagined that I'd have to be a singer. I mean, I was playing a character who sang a little song. I didn't think I had to be particularly good. They went to the sound stage, and I remember Abe Lassvogel, the head of the William Morris office, was there. So Douglas Sirk and the heads of the studio, and they didn't put me in the booth. I was right there, and they gave me the sheet music and piano playing, and I sang the song, and I just froze. I mean, it was all this pressure, and I didn't sound very good. And I didn't even finish the song. Douglas Sirk stood there. He said, well, get somebody else. And they did. It was probably Marnie Nixon, you know, the woman who does everybody singing for them. I was mortified.
So it wasn't you singing?
No.
It does sound like you, though.
But in Ain't Misbehavin', I sang 5 numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And later on, which I'm going to ask you about, a cult movie you did called Ruby.
Yes.
Where you did an amazing performance. You also sang a lot in that song, actually, didn't you? And you recorded the songs.
That's right. I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A movie that a lot of people may not know, but they should really check it out.
Curtis Harrington made a trip to some film festival in Europe and came back and called me, the director of the movie. And this was years and years later. He said, well, I met Rennie Rettenstahl. I don't know if I pronounced her name right.
Leni Riefenstahl, yeah.
Yes. And she called me she called Curtis Harrington. This is shortly before she passed away.
Wow.
And she wanted to meet him because Ruby was one of her favorite movies.
Was it really?
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing?
I couldn't believe it.
Leni Riefenstahl?
Yes.
Wow. That is so amazing that Leni Riefenstahl actually loved that particular film, Ruby, from 1978.
Yes.
Wow. So she was a fan of yours, huh? Kind of.
Oh, maybe of Curtis Harrington.
Okay.
The producer made changes
All right.
in the end of the movie and had fake actors. I mean, they were real people, but they weren't us doing some underwater scary things.
There were some bits and pieces showing, which was supposedly you and made underwater.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Has Anybody Seen My Gal? There was a young actor who did his first cameo appearance
Yes.
in it with you, James Dean.
Yes.
Is it?
Extraordinary.
Would you tell us a little bit about that experience?
I had no idea he was sitting there at the counter in the drugstore. I was aware that there was an extra there, but I was concentrated on my dialogue in the scene and working with Rock Hudson. It was maybe 20 years later, I got a phone call from my famous Uncle Maury, who lived in New York, and he said, Sissy, I was just watching Has Anybody Seen My Gal on television. Do you know who was sitting in the drugstore with you? James Dean.
Wow.
Nobody was particularly aware of who he was.
And not everybody knows that he actually appeared in that movie today.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was it? Well, so you didn't get to know him personally at the time,
No.
did you? Not before he died. What was it like working with Rock Hudson? You've done quite a few things with him.
Yes, Rock Hudson and I were good friends before we did our screen test together. And he was a good pal. And my mother used to feed him a lot, and we had a lot of fun. He took me to my first circus. We were good friends. It was always fun to work with him.
Which one of your early films from the 50s do you consider to be your favorite, or maybe the best movie of those you did in those years?
I think the one that they certainly spent more money on it, and I think they considered it their kind of A movie was Mississippi Gambler.
Yes.
I certainly had a lot of costumes.
That was a beautiful costume piece.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's the best one of those of that era.
Yes, I would think so.
But you left Hollywood in what was it, 57 or 58 to go to New York, here in New York?
Actually, I finally broke my contract in 1955.
You broke your contract?
Yes, and I agreed that I would do a picture a year for 3 years for almost no money for Universal to get out of the contract.
Why did you want so desperately to get out of that contract?
Well, it's fun for us to talk about those movies now, but I just felt that it wasn't what I was doing. What I wasn't doing what I was good at. I wanted to be playing real people, and in things that were written with care. And,